Hello everybody and welcome to Formula Ford's on Monday here at the Phoenix Raceway. This is week 6 of season 1 of 2024 and it's getting very close to the midway. Well, this is almost the midway point. We hit it after this race here, and after a race around Mosport, which is obviously one of the tight, long, straights, flowing corners, we come to one of the tightest circuits on the calendar. It is a Phoenix Oval, but it's a road course inside of it. Welcome everybody to the broadcast. My name is David Whitehouse. I am your broadcaster and commentary team for this event, and it's going to be one hell of an event. The drivers are out there currently qualifying, ready for the event. We will just see if we can find any of them out there, because currently at this moment in time we're just going to bring up the timing screen and see who is on top in this session so far. It is Tim Hendrickson who is on the current pole position. We will bring up your race results so far. Gasparzo Meyer is in second, Derek DeFonts in third. It's going to be interesting to see if any of these could take. There's DeFonts, who's heading round the final corner now to finish his second qualifying lap, and he's still in fourth place as Leon Bogart has just got ahead of him. Clement Concalves, Eric Schluff as Ken Boucleon, moves up into fourth place. Have we got any drivers still out there qualifying? Looks like Sergio Carvalho is. There he is, going through the corners towards his second lap, so we might be able to see how he gets on. But it's Tim Hendrickson who's finished his qualifying session in first place, and Ronald Mansveld up into fourth, then misplaced by Julian Colbert, who takes third. So Mansfield, a very good fifth place there in this session. Looking further down, we also have Laura Hill, Alex Long, Preben Hagen, William Arnson, Nikolai Gilden, Sergio Carvalho, Philip Ukart, and then Eric Schluff, who's just gone up into sixth place on his session. But here's Sergio Carvalho coming around final corner. Where will he be able to pop himself on his second of the two qualifying laps? His first one was more a warm-up lap, 3.3 seconds off the pace, so will he do slightly better this time round? He's right up against the wall. He comes around the final corner and he will improve his time, but not his position. A 103.75 puts him 11th, 2.4 seconds off the pace. So let's just see. Doesn't look like anybody else is currently going around. There's Clement Colcalves, sorry. So yes, there is one more driver going round at this moment in time. Will he be able to improve from his 9th place? Doesn't look like it at the moment from the sector times, but you just never know. We'll come across the line. We're looking down on the circuit from the grandstands here, and he comes across the line, and it doesn't look like it's any improvement. No, that is his qualifying over with, and 9th place is the best it will come to. I'm guessing the other drivers have not decided to qualify. That's William Arnson's, Preben Hagen, Alex Long, and Laura Hill. So we'll see how this goes. A tight, twisty circuit compared to Mosport last week, so it's going to be a completely different challenge, but it is a common name at the top of the field in Tim Hendrickson, continuing his charge towards 9K and possibly the Formula Ford title this season. It's impossible to know at this stage where Hendrickson will come out, but this is being the midway stage. Could we see a really strong finish here to the season? Concalves just continuing round while he can, just to get some practice in, and we will be ready for the grid. And here is the grid for tonight's Formula Ford race here at Phoenix. Tim Hendrickson, the Dutchman, takes yet another pole position on this split ahead of Meyer in second. Julian Colbert and Leon Bogota rang out row 2. Ronald Mansfield with his best qualifying in one of these live streamed races ahead of Alex Schoof. Uquion and Defonce in 7th and 8th ahead of Conclaves and Ugart, who rounds out the top 10. Sergio Cavallo and Nikolai Medvedev are next up, and round further down the grid and rounding it out. Gonna let me scroll down. It should do. Bear with me. There we go. Press the right button. William Arneson, Laura Hill, Alex Long, and Preben Hagen, who did not set a time in qualifying. So it is going to be, as you can see, an interesting start off this grid. There's Tim Hendrickson on the pole position, and there is Barney the flagman ready to set these drivers off when he can. But we have a look from the roll bar, and the helicam is probably best to start. There's Barney the flagman over the top of the drivers. He's ready to set them start lights off. Tim Hendrickson and Mayer on the pole, on the front row. Really, it's going to be tough to beat either of them two, but we'll see as the revs rise. 5 lights are coming on, the 5 red lights are off, and away we go at Phoenix Raceway. And it's a great start there by Hendrickson to get away. Set for the whole front row, actually got away really nicely. We'll just have a look a bit further back in the pack. This is Ronald Mansfeld, who's got a decent start, and everyone just trying to get through this really tricky turn 1. We've already had a couple of crashes by the looks of it, so we'll go back to them in a minute. Bukuan heading to the pits. Laura Hill's been off the track, but out in front as we head towards the midway of the first lap, there is Tim Hendrickson leading the way. He is just ahead of Mayer and Colbert. And will he be able to be caught? There's a little bit there where you can get some track limit penalties and slow down penalties, so the drivers have to be aware of that. But round the final, down to the final corner comes Hendrickson, and he's stretching out that lead, but then the slipstream will suck everybody back into play. So it's not quite over yet. Almost 20 laps around this circuit it will be, at least possibly tonight, because it's only about a minute 1 per lap, and Tim Hendrickson obviously leads home lap number 1. And we can see Conclaves and Bukuan have headed to pits. Laura Hill about 10 seconds off the back. So while we've got a little bit of pause in the middle here, let's see what happened to Laura Hill off the start. She comes down, she gets a good start, she's moving alongside one of the drivers, and there's just an accident in the middle and they have to avoid it, and it's took Philip Ukart off as well. Laura Hill gets going very quickly there, and let's see if we can see, was it Bukuan in the middle of all that? We're on board with Ken now as he comes, the 13 car heading down towards turn number 1, and he just gets hit from behind by the Walmart cart, which I think was Conclaves, and then it's just over and out for that driver already in this race. But across the stripe for lap number 2, start of lap number 3, and Hendrickson has extended his lead to half a second over Mayer. Colbert is 3rd, Bogart is 4th ahead of Schloof and Mansveld, who's in a very close position. And we've got a spinner. Is that Mayer? That is Mayer, who has spun in the background. There we go. We just catch him getting going again. Tricky turn 1 here, and it looks like he may have took Colbert back a couple of places with him. Has Bogatar, where has Bogatar gone? He's gone down to 9th place, so we'll have a look now at what happened here. The Gustavo Mayer comes down into turn number 1. It's really hard, it's braking, it's downshifting, impossible in this Formula Ford car at times. Around he goes, holds the brakes, but oh, and the Fanta car, the 12 car, just follows him in, Bogart, and Mayer rejoins as safely as he can. He was straight on the brakes, but he did end up taking Julian Colbert with him, as we'll see just now. Colbert was running 3rd, possibly just trying to anticipate where that Formula Ford will go when it goes round, and doesn't know that it's a rollback from Mayer. It is a rollback, but can we say, if we just go back a little bit and see, at this point here, he's he's going to have to roll back or he'd be in the middle of a track. So I can't blame Mayer for that, but he is in the pits, and so is Julian Colbert for repairs, and that has left our leader, Tim Hendrickson, 6 seconds clear now of the field. This is almost a cruise already for the Dutchman. 6 seconds clear ahead of the second place battle, which is Eric Schloof and Ronald Mansfeld. And just behind Ronald actually is Derek DeFonts, who's had a great start to this race, up 4 positions. An even better start is from behind William Arnson, who did not qualify for this race. He did start at the back of the grid. He is there up into 5th. He's took advantage of all the chaos, and he is now leading the charge of the group to close down on the second place battle, which is Derek DeFonts, Mansfeld and Schloof. Is the pace there for Arnsons to do so? It looks like it might be. We've got other spins on the field for Nikolai Mejler and Alex Young. Alex Long, sorry. Alex Young? Christ, we're going back to early 2000s Formula 1 there. But speaking of early 2000s Formula 1, I've just noticed Arnson's livery of the lovely Williams BMW white and blue car from the early noughties, so quite apt that we were talking about that at the time. But these have now got a real close battle to try and close up on. Behind that, Sergio Carvalho, who we saw struggling a little bit in qualifying, but he is now closing that gap to the top 5 and hopefully going to hold on, and we can go on board with. Here we go, Leon Bogarde on the recovery drive. He goes to the inside of Carvalho in the Fanta car, and Carvalho goes, on you go. I'm not here to fight that battle just at this moment in time. Look further back, this is Laura Hill, also on a recovered drive, ahead of Alex Long, who we have heard spun a little bit earlier on. So the top 7 are the only drivers not to really get into too much trouble in this race so far, and it's not been the best of races for some of them. Mayer 1 lap down, Bucklon 1 lap down, Hagen now in the pits, so he will go a lap down. So that's allowed people like Laura Hill to recover from them incidents. Sideways out of a hairpin for Laura, but she's managed to hold on to it and heading down towards the final corner ahead of Alex Long. We, of course, go back to the front, and this is Tim Hendrickson. We've got to look into the way he's driving, because he is now 9 seconds clear after 7 laps. 6 minutes of this race gone. We've still got another 14, and he is 9.5, almost 10 seconds clear of the field now. Just dominant performance by the Dutchman. We'll probably come back to him in about 10 minutes time when he's, I don't want to put commentator's curse on it, but probably going to win this race already. We'll have a look back, and commentator's curse has properly gone on here because Laura Hill has crashed out of 8th place. We will flip to her now as she comes through the middle section of the circuit. Has she retired? No, just lost the back end into this section. Holds the brakes. There's Alex Long, who gets past, and Laura Hill is managed to continue. Walls are quite far back at this circuit, so it's good news for her really over all of that, and lifting and boring across the top. And we'll just have a look at that again, because we'll watch it from the outside, because this is what is so hard to do with this Formula Ford car in the tight, twisty, technical circuits. Around it goes, and Long did really well to steer clear of that in the spin for Hill. We've also got another crash for Leon Bogart. Let's see what's happened to him. It's down into turn number 1 again. The Fanta car just downshift again, and around the back end goes as it gets light. And the Velux driver is trying, yes, he manages to avoid everybody. He's trying to get out of the way as quickly as he can, and looks like he only loses maybe 1 position there. So, but we'll have a look again, that from the outside, because this is such a common mistake around this Phoenix Oval. He just downshifts didn't even downshift too quickly, but it was a little bit too quick for get the over rotation, and he's quite lucky to miss the end of the barrier there as round goes. I think that was Sergio Carvalho going around the outside of him. But this is a battle for P2, and by the looks of that, is that a lapped car in the middle of that? It's Eric Schluff for BS Racing in the Hornet livery, who is holding on in second place at this moment from Ronald Mansveld, who we are very pleased to see back in these finals because he has missed a couple recently due to work and other things. Preben Hagen has crashed out as well, so he falls to the back of the field. He was already a lap down anyway, so it's kind of not race over for him because it was already waiting for other mistakes. But Mansveld having a look now at the back of Schluff, and Fonts is not far off. This is on board with Mansveld. As he comes through this midsection, this is where it can get really tough, but already 14 seconds behind Hendrickson. You know, we should expect this from Hendrickson. He's 8.7k. Schluff, Mansveld, 2.8, 1.9. So should be that gap, but it's huge already. And you see this white line on the right hand side. That's where you can pick up a nasty little slowdown on the track limit. So both drivers giving a little bit of berth there to that and making sure that that will not happen to them. Come around the final corner, through the banked corner we go, and across the start finish line. Who is that having a look up the inside of Mansveld? Is that Defonce? No, Defonce's car behind. So that will be the lapped runner of Mayer trying to get back through the field. And if I was these guys, Mayer, oh, Mansveld's crashed. Mansveld has spun. Was that contact though? Was that contact with the car, the lapped car in the middle of that battle? We'll have a look here. We're on board with Mansveld coming into this corner. Do we hear contact? No, I don't know. That's hard to judge, especially from the outside. So we'll find the best camera angle we can. That's probably the best one we've got. Laura Hill has had another spin out there on the circuit, so she loses 2 positions. Here we go, Mansveld. Round the corner he goes, and no, it's just locking up the rear, and Mayer did brilliantly to avoid Mansveld there, but Mansveld gets back going, loses 1 position on circuit, and falls into the clutches of, well, it was into the clutches of William Arneson, but then William Arneson has fallen back down the field for some reason. We'll try and look here at what happened. We'll keep it going because he does disappear. He tries to go up the inside, doesn't manage to do so. Does he lose it at the hairpin? Has he picked up a slowdown? That is very strange by William Arneson to go that slowly already. We'll try and get on board with him. I'm not sure what's happening here. Has he got a technical issue back at home with his steering wheel and his throttle? But he only falls to 9th place, so I'm not quite sure what happened there for William Arneson. He falls back to 9th and he's now continuing on. I wonder if there's a technical issue in the house for him. He has fallen down 1 more position. So has his rig or wheel got an issue? Sounds like he's not full throttle there. We'll go back. There's Ronald Mansfield in 4th place. Now trying to close on Defonce, who's in the battle for 2nd place. There he is. William Arneson, just to update, has fallen back to 11th. And is that... He did a 124 last time round. Defonce there trying to close the gap on Schluff. The car just ahead of them, which will be the lapped car of Mayer, which they've done the sensible thing and let him go because Mayer was 2nd earlier on. He's not going to pull that lap all the way back, but there is the chance that he can drag them forward as Tim Hendrickson again sets the first lap under 61 seconds, 1:08. The track has some pace in it tonight, and Hendrickson is using every single bit of it. 113 for William Arneson last time by, so we'll go back to him now. We'll go on board with him as well and see if we can hear what is happening to the Formula Ford car of William Arneson. Whatever it is, it does seem to have fixed itself. I don't think it could have been a slowdown because his second lap round. Oh, it sounds like there might be a gear shift problem there. He struggled to pick the next gear. He lets you karts go. So he's letting people go as well. And he's just trying to get to the end of this race. But it'd be interesting to know what happens to William Arneson. This is on board with Derek Defonce as he comes around the final few corners to head onto the pit straight to complete lap number 15, and he is trying to close this gap for second place, but he's now starting to fall back a little bit from Schluff, and we will probably, at this moment in time, things will stay where they are, but this is such a technical track, such an easy track to make a mistake on. But even somebody like Hendrickson, who's 20 seconds clear now, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen after 15 minutes, it is going to be really difficult for him to keep his concentration, not make a mistake, not spin. And let's see if he can do that throughout. Hagen sets a new best lap for himself, which is 1 minute 2:45. But we'll concentrate on this battle here, as Bogart has now moved back ahead of Sergio Carvalho and up into 5th place. It's a bit of an up and down race for Bogart, but he is moving through slowly but surely and showing some really strong pace. His last lap was a 1 minute 2.35. As we do here, there's been another spin for Laura Hill, and she has towed to the pits now. So that is probably Laura Hill out of this race now, and looking to try and maybe just grab the last few positions when she can come out of the pits. So Schluff, Defonce, the American versus the American. Car 3 against car 6. So two very strong drivers in this field, and it'd be really interesting to see who's going to get the better of this battle for gaps. Even when Mansveld was in between these two, the gap between these two was similarly 2 seconds. So Defonce not really getting to grips with closing up on Schluff, who did manage to do a 102 flat last time around. So it's not going to be easy for these drivers to close the gap. It isn't really a closer battle on circuit at this moment, but Defonce is really pushing, trying to close that gap. I'm just having a look at the sector times right now, and it seems that Defonce doesn't have an answer for Schluff in second place, and will take, but still a podium in this soft race is always a good result for whoever it may be. Ronald Mansveld has back up into 4th place, and we've got another crash for Mayer. He's gone off the circuit. There he is. You can see him just rejoining there, and not the night that Mayer wanted. But you know, if you're going to spin off and struggle after being second, you may as well test things out now, and he'll be pushing to the limit to see what speed he can get out of the car, and that will cause more and more mistakes. Here we look at Alex Long, who has moved up 8 places, the biggest mover in the field tonight, and Alex Long has done a very cool, calm, collected job here while everybody's been making mistakes. We know he has spun at some point, but it's been consistent in terms of his driving, and he's now trying to hold off Concarves, just behind Clement Concarves from France, who is also just been very quietly picking off the field as he can come along. And at this rate, we have possibly 2 laps to go for these drivers, as round the outside is that the lapped runner? Yes, that's one of the lapped runners going around, Philip Hagen. And this is sensible by people like Long, saying, yes, you're a lap down, you're not going to catch me, so off you go. I'm not going to waste my time here. And as Hendrickson comes across for 60.8 second lap, and just dominating this field. He will not have the white flag this time by, so it will go to lap 21, I think. Oh, and Conclaves have a look at the inside. Goncalves has a look at the inside there and spins round, and it's just given Long a bit more space, and he can try and close in on Sergio Carvalho in front, but it's not going to happen. And the gaps are quite big between some of the drivers now, but except for Julian Colbert. Now, Julian was third and caught up in that incident with Mayer, but he is now trying to close the gap on the recovering Conclaves, who spun off just a moment ago. Can he make maybe a last ditch attempt to get that position? He was actually, Clement did really well there. He only lost 4 seconds on lap time, so that was a good recovery from that half spin. It's always one thing spinning in Formula Fords, but the next thing is going as quickly as you can. See Colbert just trying to short shift, nullify any wheel spin or sliding to make sure he can get there. But we're going to have to look at this man. It is the last lap. He is coming round. We haven't seen a lot of him since lap 6, but Tim Hendrickson is coming round to take victory here in the soft race on Monday night against Field. Sergio Carvalho has been towed to the pit lane, so there's been something happen there, but Tim Hendrickson takes a victory, a dominant victory, with another 60-second lap in tow for the final lap. And then we will have to wait a whole 28 seconds for Eric Schluff to come across the line. He's going to hold off Derek DeFonts by a clear 4 seconds in the end, so DeFonts has not had a good end to the race, but he will possibly hold on to third place. But it's second place for Schluff. A great drive by Eric to bring the car home there, and there is DeFonts home in third place. A great podium, 2 Americans on the podium here at Phoenix. Ronald Mansveld, he'll be happy with 4th place. Should have been a podium possibly there, but he will come home in 4th. Leon Bogart and Al is 10 seconds further back in 5th on his recovery drive. And the words recovery drive are going to be used a lot as Alex Long comes home 6th after his spin. Clement Conclaves is coming home 7th in the end after an adventurous race. And Julian Colbert just misses out on getting that top 7 after a fight with Conclaves near the end. And that is it for that race. Wow. That has certainly took my breath away in the results page. There's your results here at Phoenix Raceway. Tim Hendrickson takes a victory, a clear, almost 30 seconds clear of the field, the most dominant victory we've seen here on Formula Ford on Mondays. Eric Schluff in second place from Derek DeFonts. Ronald Mansveld comes home in 4th on his return to the streamed race. Leon Bogart rounds out 5th. Alex Long, a solid drive to 6th ahead of Clement Conclaves. Julian Colbert at Sergio Carvalho. And the unfortunate William Arneson, who comes home 10th, even though he had that mechanical issue in the middle of the race. Philip Ucart comes home 11th. A disappointing result for Philip. Mayer in 12th. 2 spins putting paid to his chances of victory after running second early on and being on the front row of the grid. Nikolai Meljo and Ben Hagen struggled to make their way through the field and obviously finish 1 lap down. 2 laps down for Ken Brinquill, and Laura Hill retired with 6 laps left. There we go. That is the race here from Phoenix Raceway. Tim Hendrickson with a dominant victory, taking the win ahead of Eric Schluff and Derek DeFonts. This has been one of the most dominant performances in Formula Ford, but a tricky track tough for all the drivers and many spins, many mistakes made tonight. We move on to a more familiar circuit in Brazil next time out, and I hope we will join you there live on Twitch on the Motor Magpie channel or on here on YouTube with Motorsport Magpie. My name has been David Whitehouse, and we'll see you at Interlagos, Brazil next time out.